Hey everyone, this is for my students who I promised I would do a video on modeling in Solidworks rather than Rhino 7 using exactly the same model. So what I've done here is I've brought in a sketch picture of the front, and just to help you understand how I did that, I'll repeat the process. So let's go to the top view, in fact the top plane, and before I do actually import this sketch, I'm going to hold the control button down, grab this plane and just drag it down so I get a copy, and then type in a figure. Right, so I want to put it on this plane because I want the sketch out of the way. With the plane selected, let's put a sketch on it. Go to Tools, go to Sketch Tools, and then the command will be off screen here. So it's called Sketch Picture, it's near the bottom. So I'm going to type it in at the top. In the search bar, here it is, Sketch Picture, and this should take you to your whatever the last location was in Windows Explorer. So I've got mine at the right place. I'm going to grab the image, and it'll place the image on the left-hand corner on the 00 on the origin. Right. So the way that the scaling bar works is you grab the left hand of the scaling bar, drag it across to the left edge of the sketch you want to scale it to, and then drag the right across to the right side, let go, and then you can type in whatever dimension you think that should be. So in this case 57, say OK, and that will have scaled it, the entire drawing. What I do here is I get rid of, I disable the scale tool. It just gets in the way, and it goes all over the place, so it's a bit annoying. Right, so with that sketch selected, I want to rotate it, so I will type 90 degrees and then drag this across, and I need some more indicators. Let's just escape. I need some lines. I'm going to make them midpoint lines from here, roughly like that. Do that again, midpoint again, a vertical, and then dimension these so that I can move the sketch around and scale it to exactly these dimensions. Right, so that I find most useful because now I've got a very accurate set of boundaries by which I can scale this, and I can see if it's the right scale or not. Oh, that dimension is incorrect, 113. That will be better. There we go. Right, so you might be able to use the shift arrow keys to move this around incrementally. I can't, not in this version. So if I've got that sorted out, I'm going to exit. So there we go. I have two sketches, one of the front view and another of the top view. And so we can start modeling. So I'm going to hide this plane just for now and go to the top view and put a sketch on it. And I want to grab these two lines and convert them, and then select them and make them for construction. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're only going to create half of the sketch, because this process I'm going to show you now is also the way you should do things in Rhino. It's just that was a much longer, would have taken more sort of time. In Solidworks, we have no choice. I have to do it this way, or at least that's the best way that I know how. So to do this, I'm going to use the spline, the ordinary spline, and go from this point to this point and say OK. Right, and then when you click on the spline, you should get these handles appearing, which allow you to move the spline around. If those don't appear, simply go to your options button, type spline in under the search bar, and under system options there's only one here. There should only be one, so it's not in any of the drawings options. It's this one here. No, not that one. Okay, where are we? It's this one here. It says enable spline, tangency and curvature handles. Oh, that should be spline. That's why I typed the wrong wording. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's this one here. There we go. It's that one there. That would be unticked if you can't see those handles. Tick it and say OK, and then these should appear. So that allows me to move this around. I want to constrain this by putting in a horizontal and repeating that. I'm repeating the command by hitting the enter key, by the way, same as in Rhino, and then selecting the line and that straight line and saying make tangent. Sorry, selecting the spline and the straight line, making them tangent. Okay, now you can, if you want, attach dimensions to these diamonds. Just go to my dimension tool, right? And so you can control what happens here by clicking once in this and saying, say 100 or whatever it is you want to do. So I want to make that about 130. I'm just showing you this. I'm not going to sort of judge you if you don't use this, but ultimately in SolidWorks, that's sort of what you want to do, is you want to control everything using dimensions. Right, so in this one, I want an additional point in the spline. I can select the spline without having my dimension tool selected. Right click and say insert spline point. I want one around about there, which will allow me to drag this out a little bit, and then you can play with these handles as well, and so forth. So you can fine tune this, you can massage it to be exactly what you want. I'm going to leave it pretty much like that. I'll show you a bit more about how you can dimension these splines in another drawing. So with that half or quarter of the drawing made, I'm going to mirror it. So on the whole of this, sorry, it's not in that, it's just selecting a line. In the entirety of this model, we'll be mirroring everything because everything is going to be symmetrical. I can show you in a later video how to do something asymmetrical. Right, so that is selected. Normally I would actually make that fully defined. So we're going to exit that. And now I need to create two sketches which echo the two lines on the front view. So let's go to the front plane, put a sketch on it. And the first one's going to be the same as I did in Rhino. It'll just be a 3-point arc. But I would like to start, as always, with a center line, something like that. And then that one there, and roughly place it around about there. Hold the shift button down so that it stays horizontal like that, and then drag it out. Okay, and then I want to constrain this a little bit because I want to be absolutely certain that it is centered around the center line. So I'm going to put a symmetry relationship on there, and I will put in some dimension. So I want a height. 4.6 would be good in this case. And I want a width. So that should be 113. Gotcha. And then I think this should be enough. 150, there we go. 151, something like that. So it's gone black. Great stuff. Now I'm going to exit this. And I want another sketch. So I can't place two sketches on the same plane because when I try and use the other commands, it's going to use both sketches at the same time. So I need another sketch on the front plane. Let's put a sketch in here. And this time we're going to use the spline tool again. And this time as well, we're going to attach that spline to this first curve. Now, ordinarily, I might want to make that spline, that line more sophisticated, and that one not touch it. But that's tweaking. I just want to show you the process for now. So let's drag that point out. Where's my other point? There it is there. Okay, so I think I might have shown you this trick before, but I'm going to show it to you again in any case. I'm going to dimension that arm and that little diamond, and this one as well, relative to each other and also to a center line. Why have I not got a center line going here? Seems to me that I've exited the sketch, have I? Nope. Let's rebuild and see what happens. Okay, so go back into the sketch, edit sketch, right. And there we go. Okay, so here, as usual, I'm going to place a vertical line. Now, there are two dimensions I need for each one of these. One is an angle between that point and the center line, and then a length. So I'm going to make the length first. So let's leave it as it is. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. Right, and I'm going to make this one, let's make it 85 for now. Now, instead of having to adjust these to be exactly equal, I can actually make them equal by just double clicking on the one that I want. Oops, why is it not going out? There we go. All right, so when you've got that selected and the dimension is highlighted, type in equal and then select the other dimension in the screen, and you'll see it'll select that sketch or that dimension, and you say okay, and now the two are linked, so I can change this one. I can change that one to say 90. It'll update on the left hand side. This is going to save you a lot of work if you can get this right. It's not difficult at all. And the second thing I want to do is I want to dimension the angle between that point and that line. Once again, let's leave it as it stands because we're going to link these two as well. Let's make this 45. And let's double select that one, double click on it, sorry, not double select, equals this dimension, say okay. Right, so you can see now if I alter this, it'll alter, right, so 43. So it becomes pretty quick to alter what's happening here. So you can tweak this. I'm going to leave it as it is. As far as I know, this worked better at 100. And then this worked better at about 38 from previous plan. No, more than that, 42, 43, 44. I'm going to leave it as it is. And then exit that sketch. So now we have 3 sketches, this top one, that middle one, and that other boundary of the top of the one surface. I want to now get a curve in which that line there and that line, or that curve, that spline and that line project onto one another. So type project into the search bar. You get this command project curve, make sure it's sketch on sketch, and then you simply select the 2 curves that you want to project onto one another, and you'll get this brilliant little curve in between. Say okay to that. And we're actually almost ready to make the first surface, or the first half of the surface. We need one more. We need a guide curve from that point to the middle of this curve. So I'm going to go to the right view, say sketch, spline tool again, enter, right, and then I want, first of all, for that point to merge, make pierce with that line so that the 2 are linked. Do that on this side as well. Go back to this view. And I want to also constrain the top of this line to be tangent. That's because when we create that surface there, it must obviously meet this other side of the surface at a tangent to be smooth. Otherwise, you're going to notice a little ridge or a bump or something like that. Okay, and then I can drag this out. You can dimension it. I'm just going to eyeball it for now, just to show you the process. So far, so good. Okay, so we're going to use the boundary surface. This one's pretty simple. This is extruded surface. Any line you can extrude. Revolved surface is pretty self-explanatory. Swept surface is when you take like a curve or a line or a spline, you put a profile on one end and you can get it to go like all the way around. This one's pretty powerful, the lofted surface. So we're going to use those 2 only, and this one, the planar surface. But the first one we will use is the boundary surface. So that one we'll use a bit later, boundary surface. Boundary surface isn't probably ideal. I think someone who knows about modeling would say, well, you're going to create sort of a corner here. There is a better way. I could actually split this curve and make 2 of them, but for now I want to simply illustrate the process. So I select those 2 curves in this first direction, and then make sure that you have let's just go back to this one, that you have this first one as normal to profile. That's to make sure, as you can see the arrow indicates, that whatever the curve does, it is always going to be normal to, in other words, perpendicular to this line. Remember, the line is lined up with the plane, and normal to that plane is in that direction, but in the opposite way, okay? And then in direction 2, we can select this line here, and you don't, I think you can do it here as well, right? So you can control it in 2 directions. So now we have a nice smooth surface, and we can mirror it, because that's the whole point of doing only half. So in the mirror option, if yours defaults to features, make it go to bodies, because it's only going to work on surfaces if it's a body. And then the mirror plane would be the front plane. There we go. So you can see the yellow line. That's great. It's telling us it's doing it. Fantastic. We've got our first surface. Now we'll create the underside. Let's just make sure this is... So you can see there's a little bit of pinching here, right? So the way to get rid of that would be to actually break this line up into separate pieces, because you've got triangulation happening in this corner, which is not great modeling. I might make a video just to show you how to get rid of it. But if you've watched my Rhino 7 video, it's the same process. So there's just a few more steps to make that a nice smooth surface. We'll have to live with this for now. So I'm going to create another front view, I think. Let's have a look. Sketch. Yes. So I want to create a kind of a blend curve similar to the Rhino one, from that point down to that plane. And this time, instead of using the spline tool, we're going to use a style spline and a B-spline degree 3. And then just click a few points from that point there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then, I'm missing something. So actually, I'm going to go out of this. I'm not going to discard that sketch, but I'm going to simply go up 1 level so that this sketch remains beneath my sequence. And we need a planar surface. We need this one here at the bottom. So let's go to the top plane first, put a sketch in. And here I could actually convert entities. I could grab this edge and sort of get it to go inwards, but it's going to be quicker for me just to eyeball it, put 2 straight lines, 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, right? And I already have done this, so I have an idea of what's going to look right. That needs to be about 12. And this one needs to be 25. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating just a quarter of the curve, and I'm going to mirror it twice. So let's go to the spline tool again, because this works just fine for this purpose. Make that and that one tangent. Again, make the spline and the vertical line tangent. 1, 2. Right, and then just adjust this to roughly, mirror what's happening, or echo, or I think that's about the best we're going to get for now. This is just to show the process. As I say, you can massage and tweak as much as you want. I'm going to mirror this around that line. I'm not sure if it'll choose the line. No, it won't. I have to draw one in. We need 2 of them. Do a midpoint line. All right, so grab the spline, hit the mirror key, the mirror command, mirror about that line. Say OK. Then grab both splines, use the mirror command again, and say mirror about the horizontal. So there's our sketch. Exit. And with the sketch selected, I click on planar surface, and because those curves are planar, they're flat, I get a surface. Okay, so now we can go back to the sketch here, that one there. So I'm just going to open that up, and then edit that sketch. And so I need a way to get a tangent once again for that line to the surface. My favorite, as you should know by now, well, everyone should have it as their favorite. Just use a construction line, drag this point across, spline to line, has a tangent. Go to the front view just to see if that spline's doing what we want it to do. I'm going to drag this back a little bit, adjust. Try and make it as smooth as possible. And you could, of course, dimension this. Style splines can also be dimensioned, so you just pick the points. So from there to our origin, so 45. Right, so that one is fixed, and then this one to here, make that 50, 49. And this will only go black. Obviously, I will need a vertical line here to dimension that one height-wise. No, would I? Yes. I would need that one there. Let's go like that. So I'm not going to do this in full, 0.8, just to show you that you can dimension this, and then when you fully dimensioned it, it'll turn black. And that's good enough. We only need one curve at the moment, one spline, because we're only going to do a quarter of this item. So let's go to the right view and put another sketch in. Same story as on the previous one. We're going to do a style spline, and we're going to pick that point there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Say yes. Just rotate around a little bit. Put in that line there, and then the spline must be tangent to that line. Drag these around, and then I think which would be useful, here we need to connect that point to this line here. See if I can get just those 2 points, that to that. In fact, I'm not sure I need to, but let's do it in any case. Right, in this view, I want to put in a slightly angled line, and I'm going to dimension that so that I can control the angle. So let's make that 6 degrees, and then make that spline tangent to that line. And we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so smooth this out a bit. If there are too many spline points, like you feel that I feel that there are too many here, I can just delete this one. Just hit the delete key, pull that one out. Let's make this a little bit sharper at the bottom, because that's what our model indicates. Let's drag that down and around a bit. Okay, it doesn't seem like that line. It is tangent. Yes. So just be careful here that you don't, as I've done there, that you don't get that curve to sort of bulge downwards at all. All right. So I would normally do that by putting some dimensions in. That will have to be good enough. Okay, let's exit that. So we're going to use this boundary surface. Boundary surface, we've used already. No, wait, sorry. We're going to use the lofted surface. Lofted surface is pretty powerful in SolidWorks because it actually covers like a whole lot of commands that you'd have to do separately in Rhino. So what you do is you choose the 2 lines that you want to loft, 1 and 2. Now you'll get a straight loft between the 2. I should have hidden this item here. And then once you go to guide curves, so hold on, let's actually make this make a mistake, so I can show you why you should do certain start-in constraints. But let's first get it to give us a rather nasty surface. So I've selected those 2, and I'm going to say okay. Right. And just while we're at it, let's just hide that sketch and hide, where is it? This one here. So they're out of the way. Okay, so we need to mirror that surface against the right plane, and then the two surfaces against the front plane. So let's mirror this just to show you what the curve looks like, or what the surface looks like at the moment, and why it's not really properly resolved. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. No, you can see it. Can you see this bump? Right, so it's not, these are not tangent to one another. They're actually forming this ridge. So I don't need to now delete mirror because SolidWorks is so powerful. I can just go to edit feature, select the sketch, and then actually I'm not sure if you even need to select the sketch. Just make sure that it says normal to profile. So that's doing the same thing as what I said previously. This profile has been constructed on a plane, so the plane determines its where the normal directions are, and the normal is in that direction. So this surface is going to meet that line at a perpendicular. Let's see if that, no, I think that does them both at the same time. And then the end constraint must also be normal to profile to give us the best result. That's going to be this one here. And I think you can do the same. No, you can't do with the guide curve at this point. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let's say all right. And you can see it's straight away, it's straightened out this other curve. There might be a bit of a whoopsie here. I'm not sure about that. We'll have to check. Let's mirror these across the front plane, top front plane, like that. All right, I chose two surfaces, but in fact I've only got one selected in the bodies to mirror. Let's choose both of them, say okay, and so that's our complete mouse. A slight dip in there, that's not so good. And let's just see if it's going to make us have a solid. At the moment it's just a set of surfaces. If I knit the surface and I select all of the surfaces, I'm hoping that we don't get an error. And then make sure that you select create solid. Say okay. Okay, so there is a problem, as I thought, with the way in which these two connect. I'm going to have to resolve that and come back with a slightly modified video. Okay, so for those who'd like to know, I found where the error was. It was in the fact that I hadn't, this horizontal line hadn't been pulled across to join that curve. So I'm going to grab the end of that line and see if I can get them to pierce. That will make sure that they join at the right point. There we go. So that should do it. Let's see. Exit sketch. All right. So that looks a lot cleaner. Let me drag select all of those. I think it's got all of them in that surface. Seems to have selected none of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then make sure it says create solid. And we've got it. Right. So that is the complete mouse. We can just check that it is a solid. It is indeed a solid. I hope that helps. It's actually quite fun in SolidWorks as well. Thank you for watching.